I can honestly say that water quality became an interest while I was working in extension. I've always been interested in conservation and in ways that we can make our world a better place to live in and to ensure that we have a future for our youth on this earth. You know, I will see kids out in the public. We talk a lot about be careful what you put down on the ground, because eventually that could end up in the water. And so a lot of times if I see these kids out and about in public, you know, if they're doing something that might be just a little bit different than what I've been teaching in the class, they're real quick to change their ways. And so I just love that my presence in the public and my presence in the schools is making that difference.
Well, I grew up on a family farm, and I've always had a strong passion for agriculture. And when I was younger, I was always good at math, and I was always told that that means I should have been an engineer. And it was something that interested in me for a long time. And I kind of just decided that combining, you know, my two passions of agriculture and engineering made the most sense, and it worked out well that Iowa State has the #1 department at the time anyway for agricultural engineering. So I went for that, and at the time I didn't really know what kind of specialty I was interested in, and then I just saw how much water quality was in the forefront in the state of Iowa, and I decided that the land and water resources side of agricultural engineering is the direction I wanted to go into.
What took me into the water space was just the amount of water quality issues in our state, and how important it was. We really are, you know, a river state. We're a water state. We're bordered by 2 major rivers, and we have a landscape that has been really formed by water. And so that work just kind of naturally came about just because of the nature of our state and the issues that we face.
Yeah, I actually never thought I would work in policy, but what drew me to policy is the opportunity to make change through both the state and federal level, both for water quality, conservation, and protection of our natural resources. So what drew me to policy again is the excitement of the change, and what has kept me in policy is actually the relationships that are really invaluable, both again at the state and federal level, with farmers who are implementing conservation practices to better water quality, and then with our elected officials who are looking to make changes from a policy perspective.
The water is the common denominator. You take water away, and that's what brings it all home. I mean, how long can any of us live without water? You know, most of us produce grain or meat, but what matters is that's what's on the plate or in that cup of water that we drink. I've been places where you can't drink the water. It gets pretty ugly pretty quick. You know, I wouldn't be afraid to go down here most days and drink right out of my creek. As we've seen today now, we've got some stringy algae coming right on my property, and that's scary. I wouldn't go drink my creek today, but go down a little further where the spring and that is coming out of my, you know, some of the outcroppings. I've drank it plenty, you know, and some of the early testing we've done, our tile line samplings and that, you know, that's where you really got to start paying attention. We can solve a lot of the problems right here on our farms by changing our farming practices.
A lot of us urban Iowans have roots in rural Iowa, and we understand firsthand how important it is to see our rural communities thrive. And we're dependent on each other. We want to see each other succeed. So I have young kids now, and I spend a lot of time thinking about their future. I hope that they see a future for themselves in Iowa, but I know that for that to happen, they've got to have a strong connection to their community, a strong sense of place and identity around that. And so I think spending time in nature and connecting with the land in Iowa, whether that's on the water or spending time on a farm, is important. And I hope that we can all find ways to work together and realize that our waterways connect us.
Well, but I tell everybody, you know, I haven't found any problems with retirement. Everybody asks you how you like retirement. I have to say, I have, you know, I miss some of the people, but I've been able to stay involved, certainly from a water quality standpoint. I serve as an assistant commissioner with the Mitchell Soil and Water Conservation District. If I was given a magic wand and could be given a couple of wishes granted, I would hope that our legislative leaders and our political leaders would really, you know, take water quality as a high priority and fund, you know, the necessary positions at the local level so we can begin to develop baseline databases in all of our counties. There's a lot of focus given to some of the urban counties with water quality issues and some of our parks and so forth, but I think we need a database that covers the entire state, and that's going to require political commitment. It's going to require more funding.
So water quality in Iowa is, you know, it's really a polarizing issue, right? So we've had, you know, it's divided politically, it's divided between sectors of urban and rural. It's, you know, it's divided a lot of different ways in terms of how we talk about water quality. And what I would want people to know about water quality is that, you know, we all need to drink water, we all need clean water to live, and we all live in a watershed, and everybody can do something, no matter where you live or what you're doing. So everybody can do something in some facet of their life to make water quality better in Iowa. You know, there are signs that, you know, we can make adjustments. Behind me is a stream that, you know, based on the land management around it, now has trout, and, you know, that's a pretty cool thing to see, the natural reproduction of trout. Just based on alterations in land management. So that's something that, you know, anybody can take up and work on themselves, and it's going to take a group effort to make things better.
So I was involved with development of the 3 wetland models for the Marsh Madness trailer. I worked with a company, Group Delphi, on creating and constructing them. We used LiDAR images of actual wetlands throughout the state, and I used that information to create 3D models that we printed and converted to the 3 wetland models. Those wetland models have been a great asset going out to things like county fairs, farmers markets, and other community events to show people the kinds of ecosystems that we have in Iowa. They've been a really great teaching tool to show people not just what a wetland might look like, but also how water flows through the wetland and how we can use that to help improve our water quality. The biggest thing that gives me hope for Iowa is the interactions I've had with the people here, with children, with adults, seeing their interest in wetlands, especially once we're out with the Marsh Madness trailer and with the wetland models. So many people are interested in these wetlands. They may have never been out to a wetland or seen a wetland in person, but now they're starting to think about it. They're starting to think, maybe I want to go see a wetland, or there's a wetland by me, maybe I can do more to help make sure it stays a nice wetland. So that's really what gives me hope, is interactions with the people here.
I just kind of look at it like it's what God directed me to do. He gave me this desire and talents to deal with things that some people may feel is mundane or not important. Well, it's important to me. And I look at my children and especially my son's interest in ecology and water. And I think if I don't do it, nobody else may, you know. And especially in Scott County, I remind folks that our watersheds and our headwaters, our streams, start in Scott County and they go out. So if there's any issue, we can't blame it on somebody else. It's our problem. And really, like I said, I feel like I've got that desire, and I don't like to boast, but talents and stuff to deal with some of these problems. And I look forward to it. I actually enjoy working on these things. If it's a challenge, I kind of look at it as, you know, let's see if I can figure this out.
In the grand scheme of things, we're all in this together. Everything that we do impacts someone else, regardless of whether it's on like a public easement, like most of this site is now, or if it's a private project. Like the things that we do impact other people. So like one of my favorite things about these sites is that like I actually have an impact for everyone. It's not just a developer that wants to put in a housing development. It's the downstream, it's the upstream, the habitat, everything kind of combined together.
So the reason that I'm super excited about this site is this was my first large project that after construction you can actually see it. So it's got like a 55-acre pool. It's treating about 5,500 acres. So it's massive as far as scale, and you can drive by it every day. Like, I lived south of here for a while, and I would just drive by the site every day on the way to work.
One of the things I'd encourage Iowans of all ages to do is just to get to know your land and where the water flows. So for instance, I found out that in my neighborhood, the storm sewers flow to this big pipe below Ames High, and we've measured really high phosphorus and E. coli levels. We've seen big gushers of water come out when we get a heavy rain and the rain hits the surface. And there are things that homeowners can do, like picking up after your dog so that that's not flushed out into the creek, planting a rain garden so we reduce the amount of runoff. So that just kind of gets me thinking that there's something that anyone can do, and one of the first steps is getting to know your place a little bit better.
The thing that really drives me or motivates me is helping my team be really successful. I think in this leadership role, that's an important thing that I've learned, is that my whole job is to make sure that my team have the capability and the tools that they need to be really successful. And when we hit these barriers of permitting or challenges of expanding, that's where I really thrive, of trying to help everybody just be successful. And what do they need so that we can grow our goals even more and get more wetlands on the ground and get hundreds of saturated buffers and bioreactors on the ground every year. That's exciting to see that change and see my team get excited about that.
Right out of college, one of my first job duties was walking a bunch of our streams here in Polk County and looking at the water quality, looking at, what the substrate underneath looked like, look what the banks looked like, figured out those areas that we need to address. But really, when you're in our streams and rivers, and even on a kayak, on a canoe, any way you can get down in the river, you really feel like you're in wildlife. You're immersed in it. There's a lot of stuff going on around you. You see a lot of cool things. You can see river otters, you can see beavers, you can see a bunch of different birds, because just like we tend to flock towards water, so do animals. So you get to see a bunch of animals that are down there. It also tends to be more remote. So you're not having a big population of people in the creek or river or stream. So when you're in there, you really feel immersed in nature.
I get energized being around water. I like seeing the teeming life that resides and benefits from water. I mean, all life depends on water. Clean water, water just being there, just allowing space for water on the landscape. And so I just really love being able to bring that back to the landscape and being near it. We love kayaking, I love paddleboarding, just being near a river or the ocean. It's a little far from us, but I do love being near water, and I do feel a personal connection to it. So if I could speak for the wetland, since the wetland can't speak for itself, I would want people to know how tremendously important I am for all aspects of life, the whole circle of life. Every single animal, bug, human depends on healthy water, and to respect and protect that and love it and cherish it and enjoy it. It's a beautiful thing.